What is up, team? Welcome back to the Red Storm Rapid Reaction Podcast. I'm Pat Kane, and joining me once again, of course, after St. John's loss, is my good friend Cole Latshaw. St. John's loses 77 to 67 to Creighton, snapping their two-game, can we call it a streak, winning streak, back on the snide and not looking great. Cole, how you feeling tonight?
What's up, man? Yeah, I told you I only work for losses, so you can only hit me up when we lose.
I know.
So.
I know. I put the call.
We had a two-game winning streak going there, and now you get me back on the podcast.
I know. I missed the opportunity. I should have reached out, Cole. I had promised you I'd get you in after a win, and we had two chances. And lo and behold, who knows if we'll get another opportunity? But I figured if there's anybody better to talk me off the ledge tonight, it's you. So hopefully, I don't know. You got anything positive for me?
I got nothing positive for you, dude.
That makes sense. Plenty of sense. I mean, where do we start tonight? I mean, this is my first thought, is we held Creighton under 40% shooting tonight. They shot 39% from the field, and you think about St. John's playing Creighton and how hard it is for us to defend them in years past and how easy it seems for them to get shots. Just look back the last game against them in Nebraska when we gave up 104 points. To hold them to 39% shooting from the field, you'd think you'd have a really good chance. And when you say you do that and still somehow manage to lose by 10 points on your home court, it's hard to understand. I've said it before, what your identity is as a team, because, your good defensive performances like this or against Villanova in games you have to win just aren't enough for your lackluster offense. And then your decent offensive performances against, Xavier and Marquette aren't good enough when you're giving up 85, 95 points a game. So where does St. John's turn from here? It's looking more and more like it's got to be a new coach.
Yeah, man, it's super deflating. I think part of the problem tonight, way too many offensive rebounds for Creighton. You can't give up that many second chance points. I think in the first half, Creighton had 7 offensive rebounds to our 0. They turned that into 13 second chance points to our, again, 0. You're not going to beat a good quality team like that. We got lucky with Creighton not shooting super well from 3-point. It's a staple of St. John's defense, just giving up wide open 3-pointers. We got lucky where Creighton wasn't hitting a ton of them. They just got lucky that they missed wide open threes. And ultimately, Kaluma got hot at the end of the game and seal it away for them, because we couldn't make a baskets at the end. It's super deflating. We've talked about it before in the other times where I'm on, where just St. John's struggles at the end of the game. We jokingly call it nut cutting time. When the game gets close, end of the game, somebody has to do something. I think we had a 1-point lead with maybe 13 minutes left. On 9 possessions following that 1-point lead, we had 5 turnovers, leading to ultimately a Creighton 10-point lead that they ended the game on a 29-18 run. What are you going to do? You're not going to win a game when you finally get a lead towards the end of the game and then have 5 turnovers in 9 possessions.
Nut cutting time, and our nuts got the cutting, I guess, there, Cole. And it was the guys you look to in that position, specifically Posh and to a lesser extent with Sue, who had those turnovers in that stretch. Storm might have had one, but freshman, not going to point the finger at him. And if those two guys who are your main ball handlers, really your main playmakers at this point, are going to let you down in that situation, you don't have much of a chance. And because of these, whatever the situation is with Pinzone and Curbelo, you don't have many other options to go to if they're not getting the job done. You nailed a lot of stuff there. Really good points. Those offensive rebounds in the first half especially were killer. Felt like a lot of them led to open 3-point shots too, after the fact. My dad used to always say when he'd coach me in Little League, you can't give a team 4 outs. And giving a team like Creighton those offensive rebounds is a lot like giving a team 4 outs in baseball. They're a hell of an offensive team, and if you're lucky enough to get a stop on the first shot, you got to make sure you take advantage and wrap up on that rebound, or else they'll make you pay on the offensive boards. And tonight it seemed to come in flurries. A lot of those threes, especially first half and a few key ones late, seemed to be off offensive rebounds. Killed us. Really did.
Sounds like your dad was coaching guys tougher than Mike Anderson. So kudos to Mr. Kane.
He could lay the law down. He could. He could. I don't know about the record. We'll have to go back and check the books, but he had a few wise words of wisdom here and there for sure. Yeah, it's. I don't even know who really played well tonight, if anybody did. Jones had decent numbers, Soriano had decent numbers, but no one really had a great game. And you had a chance on Creighton having an off night, although, I say they shot 39% from the field, but they did buoy that with shooting 40% from three on over 30 attempts. So that helps balance that out. Still, tonight was a night where St. John's never really looked like they had it. For a minute, Creighton was kind of letting them hang around, and like you said, St. John's took a lead, but they couldn't capitalize. Missed another opportunity, and this season is crashing right down to the ground in front of our eyes.
Yeah, definitely want to shout out. Especially over the last few games, like Jones coming back after the loss of his father. Like, God bless him. Hopefully everything's well with his family. But I feel like he's played really well over the last 3 games and taking the ball to the rim, like his hard-nosed basketball. I appreciate that even when his shots aren't falling and even when those take to the rim. It's at least nice to see somebody being aggressive. Tonight, like you said, like seeing nobody really play well, it's hard. It's hard to put a lot of blame on anybody specifically, but really just seeing Posh again with like the lack of progression year to year, to see him like really not take that next big step. I think tonight he had a solid stat line for a guy like who does it all with, I think, 7 points, 6 assists, 5 rebounds. But I mean, he's your floor general and you can't have 5 turnovers out of him.
Yeah.
Especially without Curbelo. Nobody else is handling the ball besides him and King. And to have 5 turnovers from that without like a lot of scoring. I'm not sure exactly what he shot from the field, but
I've said it before, and I mean, I don't know how true it is. It just seems to me he doesn't want to be a point guard, Posh. Like he's so willing to let someone else run the ball up. He just really wants to run the court. He wants to crash the offensive boards. There's very limited times where he's really just the true floor general. I feel like, it's Wusu a lot now. There's Curbelo before. It's been done in the past. It's been other guys. And, that's why I never really bought into the fact that it was all Curbelo's fault to his poor play because he's playing a new spot. Even last year, Wusu played so much point guard with Posh on the floor, where that role wasn't necessarily so different. Do I think Curbelo has played a role in poor play? Overall, yeah, but to just point to that as the one reason why, like that's the main thing that's held Posh back, I think is unfair. He's got enough blame to be pointed to him, Curbelo, but to also load that all on him, I think is unfair and just an easy way to point blame somewhere else. Posh has struggled, pretty much game in, game out in stretches with or without Curbelo, and I think, do I think he's anywhere as bad as the player he's shown? No, obviously it's a rut. Like there is a really good player there, and he's capable of much more. But he really has
playing devil's advocate, like you just say, just it's a rut. It's been basically a full year rut. Like he's had his spurts this year, but he's had a tough junior season for Posh, like based on what we expect from him.
100%. Yeah, that's a 100% accurate way of characterizing it. And hopefully for his sake, he can finish strong here. And I hate to see him end his St. John's career, in a poor season such as this. So hopefully there's a lot more good play we'll see out of Posh.
And hopefully a full another year of tremendous play. That's what we hope for.
Yeah, no, absolutely. We didn't get a chance to talk to you after the last game against DePaul. Obviously, we saw a great play drawn up to get that 3-point shot to send in overtime. I bring that up to lay the groundwork for a couple gems we saw tonight, and I'm saying gems sarcastically. If you can't picture me on YouTube right now, if you're just a listener on Spotify. When we were down, I think at 7 points at this time, we call a timeout, or actually it was the under 4 media timeout in the second half. We're down 7 points, 3:30 left. We inbound the ball, and we don't even manage to get a shot off. And not only did we not manage to get a shot off, we had no purpose, no, determined set up. It looked like an aimless sequence of passing around the perimeter, ended up with Storr trying to make a late shot clock drive into traffic, turn the ball over. And if that doesn't just epitomize the struggles St. John's has faced in close games, not just this year, but in the Mike Anderson era, then I'm not sure what else does. Um, you're losing battles right there. Not only on the floor with your players, but obviously in the huddle. And give him 100% credit for getting that play drawn against DePaul. Doesn't matter if an assistant drove it up over him, and it honestly does not matter to me. It's all one staff. But there's too many times when it's not just a one play, draw it up with a second left to get a shot off. When it's a purpose you need to develop coming out of a timeout to instill confidence, to instill good play down the stretch, and we just come up empty-handed, and it's far too common with this staff.
Yeah, 100% agree, man. It's kind of mind-boggling to see such a beautiful play like that final second shot that was drawn up for Dylan to get that last second shot against DePaul, and how we have the ability to do that, and then how we simultaneously have the ability to, like you said, come out of a timeout and not even make a single pass, just get inbounds the ball and watch somebody dribble it around and jack up some step back three or something completely contested. That, like you always say, we can get that shot whenever we want. Like, how do we not have any other action going on to try to get a better shot? I don't know. It's insanely frustrating. And not only on the offensive end, but something else I've been really struggling with all year from this coaching staff on the defensive end is, I feel like we were sold a bale of goods as far as Mike Anderson coming in with this 40 minutes of hell, thinking that, and maybe the basketball game has changed than what it was when Nolan Richardson did it, and we were just running this pressing system, or he was running this pressing system, and it just seems that full court press that existed in that old Arkansas system just doesn't really exist anymore. It's not as much of a full court trapping system that they run anymore. And it's more some key token pressure by one of the guards as the opposing point guard brings the ball up. And then the defense running this just every man switches on defense, which seems to lead to constant breakdowns and constant wide open 3-pointers, which is just so insanely frustrating, because I don't know, it can't possibly be a lack of understanding on these players' parts at this point in Mike Anderson's tenure. I feel almost it's just a system issue, to where you can't have guys trying to switch on ball screens and having I noticed multiple times with Nebhard being guarded tonight by Soriano and a mismatch down low, and that somehow leading to Creighton moving the ball to wide open three. And
is it worse one way if they're understanding correctly and it's not working, or if they're not understanding correctly to this point and we're seeing these results? It's like, what do they say? 6 in one hand, half dozen in the other. It's, either way, it's a terrible sign of what's going on in practice. But I agree. There's numerous reasons why that system is outdated. I mean, do we have time to talk about how much the game has changed? Not only the shooting aspect of it, where, you got to cover the length of the court much more effectively, but you also can't have a deep team as easily, where the system requires you to play 9-10 guys. And in order to keep that many guys happy this day and age is impossible. Kids can transfer out. So to have 9 and 10 capable guys on a roster is damn near impossible. To have kids buying into that type of style of play is really tough. You're obviously playing playing risky game there, giving up shots. So you're going to, it's a high risk, high reward system. And St. John's doesn't have the better athletes, the better players 1 through 9 to take those risks on a 40-minute basis. So that's why you don't see 40 minutes of hell. I mean,
dude, and I don't want to take away too much from your podcast, which is reacting to the game, but to your point, like, we're trying, in this day and age, you have to keep kids happy, and what's going on with the current state of the program. Are we keeping these kids happy? Because clearly Andre Pizzone is not happy today. Clearly Andre Corbello is going on where he's not happy. So
I don't really know how to break the news on that type of stuff, and I don't like to assume too much stuff that's going on in college kids' minds. But obviously, it's pretty apparent something's going on there, and Pinzone was coincidentally suspended the same day that happened. I don't, even if what he said is right and it's true, and let's say we agree with what he said, I still think what he did is wrong. You can't really air out
Of
your
course.
coach on social media like that. So I don't have too much sympathy for him getting suspended for that. I do have sympathy for him, being in a situation he doesn't appreciate. I do have some sympathy, but you don't go about it that way.
No.
Um, maybe that's me playing both sides of the coin too much. I don't know, but I don't think I don't think Mike Anderson is the man for the job.
No.
I think me and you have both agree on that. There's different ways the season could go where it might not be the easiest of choice for St. John's. No one how St. John's operates. I don't think it'll mean much to the fan who's in tune with the program if we're able to finish strong and get in the NIT. That's pretty meaningless to this point in this season with the expectations we had these last 2 years.
Mhm.
Will it be meaningless to the admin? Could they be sold, on progress if that were to be the case? I do believe that could happen. That does not seem, far fetched to me that St. John's could look at 19 wins or whatever we would end up in that situation. Some positive momentum at the end of that season and say, all right, let's try one more year to help with the buyout, to help, with the stigma of firing a coach after extending him 2 years later. Would I agree with it? No, but I could definitely foresee it happening. So it puts yourself in an awkward situation because I'll never be rooting for St. John's to lose a game. I could never do that no matter what the situation is. Um, so, I'll still be here every day rooting for the kids and hoping we get wins. But St. John's has really got their hands tied, and hopefully they'll make the obvious decision to, move forward.
Dude, and I love that about you. And obviously you and I are both in the same boat there. And I did want to, stand on my soapbox for a little bit here and say that it is certainly disheartening to see certain portions of our fan base rooting for the opposite team, posting stuff on Twitter, posting stuff on the message boards saying, oh, go Providence, go Creighton, go DePaul. Like, that's not what we're about. We're rooting for kids that are 18 to 23-year-olds that are wearing our school on the front of their chest. Like that, we always have to support them and root for the best, regardless of whether or not we think the coach is the best one. And frankly, even if like you said, you and I are both obviously of the opinion that the current coach is not the right guy for the long term, and hopefully the administration makes the right decision in the offseason to make that change. But there are obviously way other bigger factors at play that even you and I aren't privy to. And certainly Joe Schmo posting under St. John's fan 2324299 on Twitter isn't privy to. And that's the fact that there are financial matters at play. You're talking about a university that is literally closing one of their 5 campuses in the Staten Island campus. They're shutting the doors because they don't have the financial means to keep that as a relevant option. They're reaching out to professors who are tenured who cost too much money because they want younger professors who cost less money. Like, you're going to sit here and tell me that they immediately have $10 million to just pay to tell some guy to go away and bring in some other guy at $6 million a year? Like, it doesn't necessarily work like that. There are way bigger factors that we don't understand. So, but again,
I just want to say to Joe Smo 123459555. Please, I'm not going to unfollow you because you're crazy opinions. Don't unfollow me. I need the numbers. Don't listen to the bull.
keep watching us. We'll keep
the opinions are welcome.
out the way you root for St. John's, but don't unfollow the Red Storm Rapid Reaction podcast because we need your numbers.
Well, I do think it's kind of funny. Like, I mean, not funny. I do feel for fans. I mean, honestly, I might be able to come on here and kind of laugh when I'm talking with you after these losses, but trust me, it is killing me inside. And
of course,
I've been a fan for only the darkest years of St. John's basketball, the last 20 plus years, and I hope nothing more to see success. But some of the fans, the way they talk, it's like it's the very basement of St. John's basketball right now, and I guess I've just seen worse. So I guess it's killing me, but I don't find it to be as dire as some have pointed it to, like firing him today or yesterday. I think you can wait to the end of the season and make the right decision. But I think it's clear that would be the right decision. Is it worth talking about the possibility of running the Big East tournament table and then what your thought would be on the coach? Is it even worth bringing that up?
I mean, like, what would happen in that case? Like, obviously, they're looking, and I've seen you make the point, whether it was on Twitter or us talking together before, but they're looking for any means that they can to keep Mike Anderson.
Right.
Obviously, if we ran the table and somehow magically, I don't even. I don't want to think about possible scenarios. Oh, if we beat Marquette, oh, how that works out. But if they made the tournament, I would say, even especially if they won a game in the tournament, I would say there's no question Mike Anderson is our coach next year.
Right. Yeah.
No question. You can spin that positively. Again, like I was just pointing to, like, financial issues and stuff potentially with the university. There's no question in my mind, Mike Anderson, if he somehow made the tournament, whether obviously I think that's insanely unrealistic, and I would maybe not even consider that like a successful tenure for him in year 4. I think as far as like we look at Mike Anderson, I think recruiting is such a big thing in the Big East, and you see the level of player. You look at somebody like Patrick Ewing at Georgetown. He's bringing in such a higher caliber level of recruit at Georgetown, and obviously he's just an insanely shit coach and just cannot coach up those players. But those are the type of players that you need to bring in to be successful. When's the last time St. John's had a 5-star player? I guess Rasheed Jordan probably is the last guy that comes to mind.
Shady's best.
What how many 4-star players does Marquette currently have on their team? What is the composition that Danny Hurley has on his UConn team? How many 4-star, 5-star kids does he have? And not to say that we don't have the right kids, and even somebody like AJ Storr, who was a 4-star kid who was lower in the 100s, or Brandon Gardner coming in next year. Those kids obviously can be coached up, and obviously Mike Anderson did an insanely good job on identifying AJ Storr as sort of a diamond in the rough as far as those 4-star guards go. But he's not a kid that was labeled by high school, those people, those recruiting services. He was not a kid that was labeled in the 40s out of his top 100. He was in the 100 level, and you love to see a coach come in who could land those high level players and then coach them up. Somebody like the way Sean Miller's doing currently at Xavier, and the way he did at Arizona. It's like that's the type of way, the only way in my mind you can be really truly successful in the Big East.
And it would be so exciting to be a big shark or a big player in the recruiting game. Just to be able to follow that additional aspect. I will say, the star recruits we haven't matched our Big East counterparts, but when it comes to the roster we've had entering the season these last 2 years, I think by and large we thought we had a tournament caliber roster. And I think you deserve some credit as Mike Anderson to have St. John's have the tournament caliber roster 2 years in a row, your third and fourth year at St. John's. But also to that same point, it's your failure now if you have the caliber of a roster to get it done and you don't do it consecutive seasons. Well, then what good does it take? So while I agree that recruiting needs to be addressed and that has to be a big thing moving forward, I don't think that's exactly why Mike Anderson failed. I thought he was able to put together quality talent. I thought going into this year we had a team capable of being an NCAA tournament. I think we still have a talented enough team if put in the right position to compete. I do think we've underperformed this year to the talent level we've had. A lot of that has to do with the coaching. A lot of it has to do with just players being in a rut, like we said. But I can't say honestly that it's been the construction recruiting wise, talent wise, that's been the downfall for Mike Anderson. I think it's really been beyond the core performance, the preparation, the closing of games, the decision making, the adjustments that have to be made in close games against quality opponents. That added to the fact that you're not out recruiting, you're just recruiting at a level that's appropriate. And if you're getting undercoached or performing under a level that's adequate to coach against your peers, then we see what we see. I saw Zach Braziller. I just thought it was a good stat. These last 2 seasons, we're 5-21 against Big East teams not named Butler, DePaul, or Georgetown. So against the teams you really want to be competing with, who you want to be amongst, your peers, you're getting ran over and spat on. 5-21 is abysmal.
Yeah, dude. There's nothing else to say beyond that. you shouldn't keep your job when you're performing like that against your cohorts of the Big East. So
Yeah. Yep. I don't think they'd fire him if he made the tournament somehow. But saying that, you also have to consider, which is crazy, that Chris Mullen and Steve Lavin both made the tournament right prior to getting fired that same season. So it's not like St. John's doesn't have a history of making that decision. I didn't think either of those would happen, and they did. So don't listen to me on scoops about what the coaching situation will end up being. I don't think we'll make the tournament, so we don't have to cross that bridge. I do think St. John's will probably lose at Marquette and home to Connecticut at the end of this season. They'll probably win at Georgetown. They'll probably beat Butler in the Big East tournament opener. That will leave them at 18 wins and 16 losses. And I think that's enough to determine, St. John's is wise to go in a different direction coaching wise. And
you gonna pay up the $10 million to get rid of
me?
my
Yeah. I'm gonna donate 50% of all my YouTube earnings. So thank you to all you St. John's fans for subscribing and liking and following along. You help me get paid, and I'll help fork the buyout over there.
You pay for Pat's 8,000 square foot mansion.
NIL, baby. We'll just work it in. We'll work it in. Cole, thanks a lot, dude. We didn't even have to look at the box score. No sense in looking at it. No sense in looking at the team score. Me and you breaking this down was enough. I promise you this time I'll at least extend the offer next time St. John's win. You have an open invitation. You let me know if you want to come on. If it doesn't happen, well, don't blame me. All right.
All right, brother. So I'll talk to you next year then. Is that how it's going to work?
2023-24, you'll see Cole back on the Red Storm Rapid Reaction podcast.
All right, brother.
All right, for Daryl Showtime Hill, this has been Pat Kane and Cole Latshaw, Red Storm Rapid Reaction podcast. Thanks, everybody. Peace.